Can I read this project to you?
Yeah.
These are the oldest trees in the Boston Common. Yes, those ones. In fact, not only are they the oldest trees in the Common, these trees, yes, I'm like talking for someone else. It's like a podcast thing. Sorry about it. Yes, those ones are the oldest English elms in the Western Hemisphere, and they're right in our backyard. These elms have been standing here since before cars and radios, before Marie Antoinette let people eat cake, before the Sphinx was unburied, before the United States even had states to be united. If that seems like a long time to stay put to you, well, you're right. And you're probably human and definitely not a trait. English elms can live, on average, about 300 to 400 years.
Well, before Dutch elm disease.
We'll get there. Century-long lifespans are pretty average for most trees. Depending on the species, environmental factors and human intervention aside, some trees live 50 years, and some, at least one, live up to 5,000 years old. That's a lot of leaves.
Are trees immortal? Like vampires?
In a way.
Really?
No, No, trees are not like vampires. But their lifespans aren't fixed like ours. So trees are modular organisms, which means that they grow by routinely adding on to themselves. For us animals, all our parts are connected to a hierarchical central nervous system, the head honcho being the brain, which means, yes, we can live without a leg, but it won't grow back, and if our brains die, then we die. But trees are essentially made of stem cells, which means they can basically grow whatever they need, whenever they need, and wherever they need it. And since their vital functions are not a part of a centralized system, they can just continue to regrow as they need to. This is how trees can lose branches and even parts of their trunk without dying. But everything living finds an end eventually. Just sometimes it's after 5,000 years. Back on topic. Now, I'm sure the name English elm probably has you thinking that trees came on some boat looking for religious freedom from the motherland like our founding fathers. And you would be mostly right, but also completely wrong. Or, well, really just misled. Before its appearance in North America, the English elm was one of the most common field elms in England, thus its name.
Dutch elm disease?
I'm getting there. But science has since then discovered that the English elm came to be genetically identical. But science has since then discovered the English elm to be genetically identical to the Atinian elm, which was a tree cultivated by the Romans. Which means the English elm is actually most likely Italian. The Romans are from Italy, right?
Yeah.
Great. Let's get back to the elms in our neighborhood. These trees stand at the northeast corner of the Commons, at 24 Beacon Street, directly across from the State House. They are believed to have been planted by John Hancock sometime near the end of the Revolutionary War. And since then, they've become a part of the Shaw Memorial, which was built in 1887, honoring Robert Gould Shaw and the Massachusetts 54th Regiment, which was the first black regiment to fight for the Union during the Civil War. After a while, some people became concerned that the monument and the human interventions of the tree's habitat was harming the growth of the trees. But they would soon see this intervention actually ended up saving them from the elmic equivalent of the Black Plague.
Dutch elm disease.
Yes, Dutch elm's disease. Here, Robbie, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, the enclosure around the base of the tree doesn't restrict the roots, but it does keep out the pesky bark beetles that spread the notorious killer of elms, Dutch elm disease. Remember how I said that the English elm used to be one of the most common field elms in England and other parts of Europe? Well, around 1967, a new strain of the fungal disease, some crazy name, started killing elms en masse. 25 million trees died in the UK alone, and France lost 90% of their elms. Canada, 80%. Another deadly strain of DED actually arrived in North America in the 20s, and of the estimated 77 million elms in North America in 1930, over 75% of them had been lost by 1989.
Shit, that's a lot of trees.
Yeah, it is. It got to the point where a lot of people thought that elms were going to be extinct. So humans did what humans do best. They intervened. The elm has been able to survive until today because people who cared about the devastation took a lot of measures to help save the tree. Our trees were able to survive not only because of the barrier around the roots, but because caretakers over the years have taken many other precautions to take care of them. One such precaution affects one of the other trees in the park. This tree was confirmed to have Dutch elm disease, so the tree was girdled, which means that a ring of bark around the base of the tree is removed in order to show the vulnerable part underneath. And the practice is done to draw the disease-spreading bark beetles to the decaying exposed tree. This keeps them away from other trees, and then once the sick tree is removed, the beetle population is significantly reduced.
Ooh, sneaky.
Yeah, sneaky indeed. Just think, these trees, the oldest elms in North America, survivors of their kind, might even be here when your grandkids go to Emerson. Just because of some tree huggers.
It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, pretty cool. Finals, man.
Oh, God.
That was great.